someone else said that it just floated over the salt down there.
It does. It looks over gravel. I imagine this is even smoother.
In areas it might be. In other areas it might be. I've never done it.
Oh, you're gonna have to do it.
Road bike. Just if you guys would tighten up your water bottles, I think we had someone that spilled out because they were dumping it up or took up on that back fill, so just make sure it's not gonna leak.
Nope, it's good.
You're going to come right over here in this one.
Is that number 4?
That's 4.
We have 9.
Okay. You're going to come right over here. Okay. Remember, we're going to slide the door shut here, guys. And I got to fit in here. So, wishing I'd stuck with my diet.
Got it?
Yeah. There you go. Okay, this door's going to slide, so either against it.
No turning back now.
Yeah.
Maddie.
Yes. It's a double decker. First one's off, and the last one's on. So we'll have to show it. Say last one's on, first one's off. Alright, if you want to go all the way into the back, I'm actually going to point where you can go.
You want to go ahead?
I'll make the tires up against the back here. If you want to go all the way back here, slide something behind it. Right here. Yep. Back way.
Smile. There you go. Thanks.
All right.
You're going to put those on your Facebook page?
Yeah, I'm learning
Awesome.
them now.
All right.
This is gonna get good and legal, that's all right. All right, parallel. All right, we're on. Good, we're getting good. All right, step on one.
Cozy.
Yeah. Friendly now.
All
Here's
right.
how they get the bikes down.
Yeah. All right, this is gonna slide here. Yeah. All right, if you can probably step out from beside your bike. We have a little bit more room than we got here.
Yeah, I'm like aggressive and stuff also. Okay.
If you guys feel air pressure in your ears, it's just change in the air, so it's just like an airplane, yawn, swallow, no biggie. We're going down to about 600 feet a minute, so it's 650 feet, so a little over a minute. So we're not going to be stuck in here too long.
Yep, yours are popping.
Yeah, yep, that happens.
Yeah, really fast.
Whoa. That one actually didn't work. There we go.
I can take one if you want.
Yeah, let's get the bikes hanging up here.
All right, I'll try to get all 3 of you. All right, 1, 2. There we go.
Great.
Yeah, no problem.
We actually did it.
Thank you.
We can prove
We
it.
have to document everything.
Ooh, I feel the temperature change.
Yep, 68 now. 68.
All year round.
Yep, it's nice this summer. You know, it's like 100 over 100 and come down. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
All right, this is gonna slide again. Oh dear, we got lots of
Just remember, bear in mind that the riding this morning, or today, almost afternoon, 650 feet underground. So that's probably something that you haven't done before. And the areas that we're going to be riding in have been mined out back in the 1940s and the 1950s. So we're going into a fairly old part of the mine. Just a couple things to be remembering as we go through here. You're going to be riding obviously on salt. Some of it's going to be loose, like sand and gravel. So just bear that in mind as well. So in that regard, you may not want to bunch up too close, kind of spread out a little bit so we don't have a big pile up if somebody has an issue with the salt. Stay together, stay behind mine so we don't get too far out of the way. Most of the places are wide enough that you can ride at least 2 abreast if you'd like. But there are some places we're going to go through some gates and over rail beds and some other things that it's probably best to stay single file. If anyone has a problem, just shout out, we'll stop, we'll take care of the problem, whatever that is. We will not separate, we'll stay together, so just holler out if that's an issue. We've done a pretty good job of cleaning the route. There isn't too many big piles of salt, but there are occasionally you will find a boulder of salt, about this big laying in the middle. So just be aware of that. We'll try to point those out to you so you don't run into those. But other than that, we're going to have a great time this morning. Any questions before we start? All right, they're all yours.
All right, everybody fire up their lights. As Galen mentioned, I will try to haul her out. There's a few sections where it does get really loose where we're making a turn. So I will ask you, I may keep running, but I may ask you to go ahead and we're going to walk our bike that section. There's a section that gets real sandy, say salty, but it's loose salt, and then it immediately goes into a section where we pulled up some rail bed, and it's and we go across some railroad tracks and turn. So I just say we're going to stop there anyway and talk. So we'll go ahead and stop and walk our bikes through that section. Other than that, if you guys got questions as we go, we're going to stop frequently, point out some cool features of the mine. You got questions?
One other thing, a lot of things that we're going to see out here we consider artifacts, so we just ask that you respect that. Don't pick up things, move them around. But feel free to ask questions. Feel free to take photographs when we're stopped. That's all acceptable, and please, we encourage you to do that.
There will be an opportunity to pick up some salt.
Yes.
You've been down here before?
No.
Yeah.
Couple of you? All right, let's head out into the mine. Practice your swallow.
Roger, let's see that.
Yeah, exactly.
Rocks, stop.
Not to go the escape way.
So is this a circulating air?
Yes, it is. You'll see throughout the mine, there's these curtains, and sometimes you'll see boxes. That controls the airflow.
Right, right,
You gotta make sure they're getting air into the face of the mine, so the miners don't run out of oxygen.
right. So does the shuttle tour come through here?
We didn't go on part of the shuttle tour, but you see this yellow rope in the path, that's where the shuttle tour goes through. It's kind of a mixture of the shuttle path. There was a thing called the Salt Safari where you walk out out here. So it's kind of a combination of those areas. And a few areas where neither of those go.
So have you noticed any of the recent earthquake activity affecting your mine?
You know, that question has come up. We have felt the top side. Hutchinson has gotten some of that.
Sure.
Down here, we have not. Salt is quite elastic.
Oh, okay.
You wouldn't think it. It's just not itself, but the way it's structured is.
It's not real rigid.
And plus, we're below the water table, so I think that cushions it a little bit too.
Oh, okay.
Kind of gotta go single file through here. It's a little tight. There's no pulls on either side of this, so you'll be all right. Ouch! Okay, and once everybody gets through, we're gonna stop right here at this gate.
Hey Mike, Charlie Fair, Bike Walk with Chuck.
Hey, Charlie.
Glad to finally meet you.
Nice to meet
Talk
you.
to you. 100 emails,
Yeah,
it seems like.
Yeah. Well, you're here.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody that's got a helmet light on, turn around and look that direction. Hey, look back there. This is, no, you can turn it on. It's all right.
I was lighting you up for the video.
You're lighting me up for the video. All right. Going back that direction, heads off into the mine. There's areas of this mine. People say, well, I've heard there's miles and miles and miles of tunnels. Yes, there are miles and miles of tunnels. Not all of them are safe enough for us to go in. We cannot go to certain areas. It's just too dangerous for us to be in there. So you can see that goes about a half mile that direction. And the mine works its way off. Anybody know what direction that is?
That
Is
way.
headed south.
That's south.
That's south. When you came in, the big long corridor there, that was Airport Road, basically. You're running east and
yep.
west there.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. Well, we're going to talk about why there's these holes in here.
How much?
Next gate that we pass through, it's kind of sandy right through the gate. We've had a few people have a little problem there. It's not bad, but just keep moving. But we are going to stop on the other side, so I just ask you to go on through the gate and then we'll stop.
How much rock is mixed in with all this salt?
This is actually about 96% salt.
Okay.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's what a fat bike's for. Now the fat bikes roll right through there. We've had a few people with pretty narrow tires have some trouble with it, especially as they kind of come together. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
All right, everybody make it through. Some of you can see, I'm going to point my light up here. See this thing hanging in front of me? This part of the mine was mined out in the 40s and 50s. They didn't use a lot of technologically advanced machines at that point in time. As they started mining this out, they would stick these in the ceiling. You see the next one right there? It's called sight bobs. They hang your candles or little lanterns on those. That's how they mined out all these. Did a pretty good job making these tunnels nice and straight by simply using nothing more than these sight bobs. So you'll see these throughout the mine again. Consider this mine as part of the museum. Don't pull on those, don't grab them, you'll see them. Most of them that are this low, we mark so that you don't get tangled up somehow, hook on your helmet or whatever. Most of them are a little bit higher, you won't. For the taller people, your head might hit some of them. Any questions? All right, let's head off.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Some of you may ask what this rope is here on the floor. I've had that a few times today. So Michael doesn't get lost. So something doesn't get lost. On the salt safari or the salt shuttle, if your guide were to get themselves in trouble, it would allow you to find your way back.
Good to know.
Big rock out here in the middle.
Rock dodge.
As you walk through the mine, you also sometimes see arrows on the wall that lead you back to an escape room. There is another way out of this mine than this way you came. For those of you with headlamps, take a look down some of these hallways, especially to your right.
This is where we need to do our LCI classes. Yeah.
I've been trying to get bike manufacturers to pay to come down here and do their demo days down here, so you never are going to get rained out.
Exactly. I can see a big gravel ride coming up here.
Can't you see? So also wanting to do their fat bike test?
Oh, yeah.
All right, you see these, obviously this is why we can't go in some of these areas. If you look, shine your lights off down that direction, see all the rooms, all have fallen in, right? What happens is, and you can see the ceiling in there is pretty smooth. This layer of salt runs all the way down into Oklahoma, right? And as they mine this out, these columns, they need to leave, you got the columns, but you need the beams. If you mine it too thin, in there they were mining around 17 feet. If they got so thin that the ceiling would collapse in. So you see it comes down, they need to keep this at about 9-foot ceiling. Makes the beam strong enough that we don't have all these fall. That's why a lot of the mine, you just simply can't, there's areas of mine you just can't get back to unless you want to climb along like that. Some of them it's even narrower, you can't get through there.
There's Jimmy Roth over there.
We'll show you him later.
He's in one of the locked vaults.
We got tombstones for him. You see some of these things up here throughout the mine? Obviously your cell phone doesn't work down here. You gotta have a mine phone. So somehow both Galen and I got in trouble. You pick up that phone, it's kind of like a walkie-talkie. Call it upside, or you can call the hub back there.
This is so cool.
Yes.
A little bit loose down here.
Loose. Loose. Not for me.
Okay, we're going to stop here at the tombstone.
You like it? Scott don't have to shoot up. Oh, there we go. Stopping.
All right. So why is there this nice square tombstone looking chunk of salt laying out here? There's a few things you'll find on today's tour that we, quite frankly, don't know exactly the reason why. We suspect that what this is here for, I think it was Galen in the 60s.
Yeah.
Go ahead and tell them what we think it is.
Well, back in the 60s, the Atomic Energy Commission came to this mine. They were looking for a place to store atomic waste, and they thought that salt, and this mine in particular, would be a good place to do that. And so they came and they were here for about 10 years, running experiments, different kinds of experiments. They were testing how quickly the mine closed in on itself, heat transfer tests and other things. And so in doing their tests, they obviously would need a control sample to compare the two results with. And we believe that this piece was cut out and left here as that control sample so that after they did their test, they could compare that salt with this to see what kind of changes might have occurred. And so that's why we think it's here.
You also know here, as you come around this corner, you probably already started to see this. A lot of the stuff that came into the mine never goes back out of the mine. Why would you take it back out? These boxes, high explosives, dangerous. Lots and lots and lots of dynamite was used, obviously, to blow this out. So you'll see those boxes everywhere, and they use those curtains to control airflow. We call those Bradis curtains, but you will also see boxes used to do that. They would fill them with salt and build walls to control the airflow.
We don't use dynamite in the mine anymore. They use a product called ANFO, which is ammonium nitrate fuel oil. It's a powder, pelletized, that they use in explosives. Stored anything radioactive when we turn off our lights.
Yeah, does it glow?
I actually went to, Department of Homeland Security, their site.
Point your lights back at somebody's tunnel, you also might see somebody going to the bathroom. There's
And the
pluggable
problem
lubes
they had
back
here
in some of these
was a
corners.
mine didn't settle enough to encapsulate.
Got to go somewhere.
You gotta go somewhere, yeah, you're not going back topside.
Because when they put it down, when they put that waste here, they're hoping that the ground will basically encapsulate it too, but this didn't move. Had all kinds of seismograph type things down here to check the movement.
I'm gonna come around this corner a little bit, and we're gonna stop and talk about what this funky looking salt deposit is. Kind of loose up here. All right, what do you see there? We call it the submarine. It's kind of like a submarine. Some people said, oh, it's a sombrero. I don't know. What happens is groundwater from above, I said we're below the water table, will seep down through dissolving the salt and then redepositing it after it can move some of the dirt. We're going to see it a couple rooms over, kind of the dirt that gets moved away. So redeposited. As somebody asked earlier, I don't know if you could have all heard this, what percentage of these walls is this mine salt versus dirt? Because it looks like there's a lot of dirt in here. It's actually about 95, 96% salt. So even when you kind of look at the ground when you crush this up, that gives you a little bit better idea. It clearly is. This, you know, it can be different minerals, a little bit of dirt mixed in with it, but it's still largely salt. That's obviously about 100% salt.
How long does it take to develop something like that?
Don't know for sure. Don't know. And obviously, there's no water flowing through there now, so that's been there for some time. What direction are we going now?
Who? Forward.
We are going east, back towards Wichita.
Okay. How far south are we?
How far south have we gone? From the where you came down from the hoist.
Yep.
We're maybe a quarter of a mile.
Okay. So we haven't hit Highway 50 yet.
Nope. We won't go that far.
Okay.
Yeah. Loose salt again.
Loose salt,
Loose.
loose.
Stay right there, Charlie. Look up. You see, this is kind of the opposite of what we just saw there. This is called a pipe. This is where water has come through. You can kind of see right over here where it originally started coming through. And obviously this got mined out, and the water flowed along that wall, then came down and is depositing silt down here. Basically dirt. You can see some of the salt has recrystallized, but that's kind of, you compare that to the other room. The dirt washed away, the salt would redeposit, fill that in.
So we're in a vein, right?
We're in a vein. This vein
How
runs
much
all the way-
deeper would this salt go?
The salt bed itself is about 400 feet thick. There's about 300 feet of salt above us and about 80 feet of salt below us still. And the reason they mined at this level is because, as Michael said earlier, this is the purest salt. This is about 96, 97% salt. You get higher, you get lower, there's more silt and mud mixed in with the salt. And obviously, when you're selling salt for road and de-icing or whatever, you know, the customer would like to buy salt and not half mud and half salt.
Some of you may know the different history of salt around here. This mine obviously is Galen mentioned, it's mainly road salt, things like that. Comes out crushed. Morton Salt, if you take the topside tour, it's over there, it's called an evaporative salt mine. They pump water down here, dissolve the salt, pump it back up, evaporate off the water, and you have very, very pure salt that way. That would be more of the table salt that you were gonna use on your food.
Same salt, just the way it's harvested.
Yep.
So, Mike?
Yeah.
All these boxes, you say nobody takes anything out, and that makes sense.
Yep.
How long have some of these boxes been going?
The mine was, they first started in the 20s, I think in 1923 is when they really started mining here. They drove the original, not this shaft that's out here, the shaft that you guys came down, was what, 2002, 3?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I forget the exact.
Yeah. But the original shaft that came down into this mine was 1920, somewhere at 2022, started mining in 23. This area that we're in was the 40s and 50s mostly. For what miners do things, because most of them aren't alive to ask at this point in time, the ones that were doing this part. As you can see, this is what we call a double blast room. You've noticed all these columns. You see they blasted that direction, and they blasted back to the north. And normally they would come in here and scoop all this up and take it, but for some reason they blasted it and never came back and scooped it up and went to mine somewhere else. So this is what it would look like after they've cut the room, they've blasted the room. Next day, because you got your powder man that would come in the night before, blast all this out. The next day, the miners would come in and load this stuff up, and they would just keep working at about 6 feet at a time, knocking these walls out.
Just going this direction to the east, this is what's called the entry. The entry heads towards the face of the mine. Headed north is the crosscut. And crosscut is going to connect one entry to the next entry. And when that's completed, then that leaves a pillar in place, and that's what's formed all of
You
these
see
pillars.
that corner right there would have left this column, and we're going to turn this corner here, and you see that they should have connected up, but they never did. somebody was talking about the whoop sections here. You see how the floor has, especially with our lights, as we shine a light, you can see all those ridges about every 6 feet, about the width of your bike. That right there is what's creating that. You see how that's undercut? And then you got this big pile of salt. For those of you who've been out there, you'll see that piece of equipment out here in the museum that comes along here. It's basically a big chainsaw. It goes along the floor, would have cut this room all the way across to about 6 feet in length. You can see the holes all drilled in the walls. For some reason, they started to cut this wall, drilled all the holes for the powder man, and then didn't do anything. Again, we don't know why. We don't know why they did that. But that explains also the ridges that you see in the floor. You see as they cut through the edge, and all this being done, 6 feet in top, blast that out, carry it out of here, do that. Over here to your left, shine your light over there, looks like an eyeball on the wall. Different areas of the mine. Tell me if you notice a distinct difference as you come through here. Big difference. More humid, smells a little different. This is the East Main. This is one of the main areas where they're getting the airflow from. This is more getting fresher air from the upstairs. I don't know if you noticed when you came in this morning on the east side of the building, there was a giant shaft. Yeah. They pull the air down here. One thing we have a problem with is the humidity creates ice in there in the winter, and then it calls down the shaft and bangs things up at the bottom. We're going to hang a left up here. It's a little bit loose, but you should be able to be all right if you kind of keep your pedal stroke up. We're going to go over some railroad tracks. We'll stop when we get on the other side of the track. Did any of you see originally, almost a year ago at this point in time, we posted a video of Jim Cummins from Dirty Kansas and Leland Danes and Eric Benjamin?
Yep.
Right there is where we took that. There's that hole sitting right there. This was the main rail line. Obviously, if you're looking back towards it, if you go to your right, would have been going toward the face of the mine. Back to the other direction would be back to the hoist. That pole right there has got the date of 1955 on it, so that kind of gives us an indication of where were they at in the mine. It's not yet. So we had photographers set up right here. We rode back up where we just came. We ride that several times, and there's a bend back there in the railroad track. We come around that corner, and Eric was trying to get a good shot of us coming around there. I caught hell from some of the local cyclists. Said, "Why did you invite those guys?" I said, "Why did I invite those guys? Because they've got like 1,500 people on their Facebook site. They'll help spread the word." It was a marketing deal.
That's what made me want to come down here. It worked.
It worked. Don't think you want to go through there.
So with all this debris,
Fatter tire for that.
with all that debris that's already there, why don't you guys collect it as opposed to moving on?
I mean, you have to ask one of the miners, I guess that is.
Okay.
I guess, you know, at this point in time to bring all their equipment back to this point.
Oh, well, yeah.
Because they're
Yeah.
about, they're over a half mile from us here to face them right at this point.
Figure eights.
Yeah. Right here.
Hand on, switch off.
Logistics.
Logistics.
Not
Yeah,
worth
Bob was
not
really
worth
excited
it.
about doing some LCI training in the spring.
Oh, yeah.
Here, yep.
Cool.
See, at some point in time, they build this up like this to load salt on their cars out. Well, I told you directions. Now what direction are we going? Heading back to the west.
I'm usually really good with that.
Well, you know, when at first it bothered me, but once I've ridden the route enough times,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I couldn't, I'm like, gosh darn it, I got all screwed up.
Mike, have you got this plotted out on a map?
We do. And I'll tell you, we kept it a secret as long as we could. The total distance we're going to cover today is only about 2.5 miles.
Right.
Which we were worried that cycling type people said, well, that doesn't sound very fun, 2.5 miles, that can't be fun. But it still takes us, after stops and looking around and everything, it still takes us, 45 minutes to 50 minutes.
Oh, nope, sorry.
So that's the problem down here, all of a sudden real soft.
Watch where
We
you're.
had other people calling and saying, well, how long is it? I can't ride that long. I'm gonna hang it right here.
Okay. Yeah, it's soft when you get off the packed path.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're gonna stop right here and take a look at this floor heave. Some of you may have also seen the video of me riding around down here. I was riding through there, but we decided it's just probably not completely safe for us to do that. What happens is, we've talked about the floor and the ceiling. The ceiling most of the time falls in, but from a geological standpoint, I think Galen mentioned it, the mine naturally, in the next 1,000 years or more, will close. It eventually will, the ceiling will meet the floor. These columns are pushing down so hard on the floor that the floor in some cases will buckle. And that's hollow underneath that. The salt has just a big sheet of salt as these columns are pushing down and pop the floor up. And so that'll probably eventually meet the ceiling, then it may collapse back down, and that process will continue on and on. So that's part of the reason we decided we likely wouldn't collapse when we read it, but we would hate for somebody to get hurt.
Just need to wait a few years for you to get a little more down.
Well, I've tried to tell about it. I said, you know what? People would pay good money to rappel down the shaft. If we do that. Or I said, some people would probably pay money to jump across the shaft. I mentioned that when we came into the East Main there, that the air smells a little bit different.
Yep.
You'll notice here, probably another 100, 200 feet here, a distinct different smell. In the 1950s, a transformer caught fire down here. Salt doesn't burn, so whatever catches on fire down here, you just let it burn out.
Oh, yeah.
You can still smell the smoke. And look at the ceiling.
It's charred. Yeah.
Some people say it smells like Crayola Crown.
Just PCB.
All right. Come around this corner. Gets a little loose around here. Loose. It's real powdery where they've turned so much.
Skinny tire people.
You know, I've got a bunch of old dynamite boxes and they're wooden.
Oh, really?
What date range are those from? Any idea?
You know, you haven't been able to find any date stamps on them?
No. Well, I never even thought about looking.
So a lot of times, though, they're stamped.
Expiration date.
But I would think that would predate the ones that are down here.
Yeah.
And I said most of the ones around here are going to be in 40s and 50s.
Emco run. What's that?
Do what?
Emco run. It's on the side.
Yeah, I think the miners. Myron is a guy that worked for Hutchinson, this mine, for 30 years. He knows some of that stuff. He's a guy, gosh, I mean, you can take him out here anywhere in the mine. A lot of this looks relatively the same to most of us, but you can drive him out here and drop him off. You know where he was.
It's the same for our bike trails out in the woods.
Just, where am I? Do it enough, you start to know.
I mean, these cuts, that's totally different.
Notice the notch in the ceiling?
Yeah.
Used to be the main line taking salt back, so obviously some piece of equipment at some point in time needed some clearance.
That's where the guy drove through with the loose and with the bed up and didn't realize it.
Yeah. Scrape the salt off. This is that section up here where I advise we probably ought to just get off and walk, because even if you could ride through here, then it turns around, it's so darn rough.
Oh, going up.
You want to pull up here, you're welcome to, but not a whole lot. Go over these railroad tracks, and I'll give enough room that we can all get in here so I can tell you what this area is about.
Oh, are these current tracks?
Watch these rails. Watch the wall.
Yeah.
Pretty neat little area through there.
Yeah. Do it again.
This reminds me of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
There's a wooden box right there.
You want over there?
Yeah. 50 pounds.
All right. Notice the original rail. Has anybody been down here and ridden the Salt Mine Express?
Yep.
Yeah. These are the rails that you ride on right here, these narrow gauge rails. The mine at some point decided that rail, you can see a little wider, wasn't hardy enough rail, but it works great for the Salt Mine Express. Salt Mine Express came from the Hutchinson Zoo. It was a gas-powered train, converted it to electric, brought it down here, piece at a time, via the hoist that you guys came down in, and pulled up some of the old rail bed. That's why some of those rough areas. You saw some of the old railroad ties, cut the ties to the right width, put the rails back down. There's the Salt Mine Express. We were just talking further to the club, and that's kind of a neat area to come right through there. We were down here once, though, doing a practice ride, and here came the train, in the train's way. All right. Head on up.
I like that feeling of low clearance. That's kind of cool.
I want a bunny hop too out of that.
Nope.
Cool.
So do you currently have this train ride down here?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that a once a day thing or multiple times a day?
Multiple times a day.
Okay.
Kind of an all day either.
I think my kids would love this.
All right, if you ride close enough to the train tracks here, that light should kick on. We'll talk about this. We're going to stop right here. I say apparently miners are like my children. If you notice the actual trash can back there, there's no trash in it. It's just all piled up right there. That trash pile looks like a trash pile, obviously, for our curator at the museum. That's like a gold mine for her. There's all sorts of, packs of cigarette from the 50s. There's Del Monte cans. There's Campbell soup cans. There's a boot. There's a shovel. There's all kinds of. So whatever the miners had down here, they just kind of left it there. So that's trash, but it kind of gives us a lot of history about the place.
A boot.
A boot. Why would you leave your boot down here? I don't know. Again, like my children. Why am I tripping over your shoe in the bathroom? If anybody wants to stop and use the throne, we'll wait for you.
This will make a YouTube video.
You don't get a lot of privacy in mine other than the darkness. Watch your angles as you come over this track. You might want to kind of get to the right side here.
Is my red light still on?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, this is also a little bit loose section. Get to the left, and we're going to go over this big pile of salt here. Not bad, just a little loose as we make that turn.
It's a highway.
Call it Salt Creek. We're going to stop here.
Stopping.
Water and salt. Alright. You guys have all been so generous. We're not expecting donations. The donation box, we don't expect donations. If you want to get some souvenir salt and a souvenir salt bag, by all means, hop off. If you get some salt, the thing to do, take it home, run the water over it, and it won't look all dusty like that. It'll look very shiny. A lot of people then take and they'll spray it with like acrylic or something like that to keep as their salt. You're welcome to take a souvenir if you want one. There was a young boy this morning who was trying to get his dad to carry that big boulder there.
That's a good time. Any questions? If you have any questions, Mike and I'll try to get an answer for you.
What's the altitude change of the floor in the area we just rode? As far as higher or lower?
You mean in here or?
Yeah, the route we just...
It's pretty level. There's something called the marker bed.
My daughter is gonna love this.
And if you see this line right along
Like
here,
crystals,
somebody took a
crystals.
marker through that.
Palm
That's
size
called
or
the marker
smaller.
bed, and that's consistent throughout the mine. And so when they're mining, they're going to keep that in sight. Originally, they tried to keep that about 6 feet because that's where they started mining at about a 6-foot height. But they keep that level. That way we can keep the mine level throughout. I mean, obviously there's ups and downs,
Right,
but
right.
it's pretty consistent.
When you think about it, that what you believe about history, that there's supposed to be permeate sea, you saw some of those signs that as this evaporated, that's what created this layer of salt. So it should be fairly flat. So by the time you get down to Oklahoma, we're at 650 feet here. By the time you get down to Oklahoma, there's veins because of topography and land. Oklahoma being at a lower altitude than we are, they don't have to go near as deep to hit this same vein of salt. It's one of the few spots where we have enough light to take decent pictures too.
Yeah.
So everybody comes down here and is taking pictures. The photography is difficult down here, as you find it out.
This is really great, though. I'm glad you came up with that idea.
Not something you get to do every day.
Can we get a picture of it? I hope you do it every year.
That's what we're planning on. If this year goes good, we'll hopefully do this every year. Pretty flat.
I certainly am glad we have a guy, so I can see getting
Could you get a
lost
picture of
down
all of us lined up here?
We can. You want to do that?
You wanna try to get everybody together over here?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Get a group picture?
Sure. Jump. 1, 2, 3. All right. Come check these out. See what you think.
Anything's better than what we had.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, so now we go faster one, correct?
Perfect.
We've got the track.
Always the people that want to go fast.
We'll go remove the cones and you can see how fast you can go around. And
I would have paid a little extra for that.
it would be fun to rope it off. Okay, you hit this rope, you know you are not in the right spot. Yeah. And put a few things out here, so you got to find this point, this point, and this point. Take a picture of it, prove that you were there, and get back. Whoever can do that the fastest.
Yeah, it'd be like a scavenger hunt.
The problem we've had, you know, the fire marshal and MSHA to get us to allow us to do this, was very clear that it could not be a race, it could not be a competition in any way. It had to be a ride, a tour.
And then the corporate insurance agent put in for it. So they would be down there.
So are these lights usually on?
This is
Well, I mean, when
here, so they're not normally on, no.
when you need to come down, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yes. They're functional.
Yep.
So Michael, how many tours are you doing today?
First, I think I'm doing 6. We've got 16 groups going now. It's my brother and his wife are the other 2 guys. We'll stop here real quick, and I was going to point this one out. It's kind of interesting. You've heard us talk many times. You see the curtains, like these, are called Brattis walls to direct airflow. These boxes. You see these boxes, the miners. This one actually was built by the miners. Some of them we've built. This one's built by miners. See the salt in those? Each one of those boxes is probably somewhere around 70 pounds. So they laid those in there and prevent the airflow from going through that direction.
Is it 1 box thick? Is it 5 boxes
I don't
thick?
know.
Any
Go
guess?
fast as you can and hit it and see.
Any wild guess?
They're typically, well, you can see it's at least 2 boxes deep.
I think this one is two thicknesses.
Yep. Last chance, what direction are we going now?
North.
North, yes.
Wild ass guess.
Anybody had any flats yet?
Haven't had anybody fly yet. Not that I know of. Not really my. Alright, we're going to make a hard left right here. We're going to make a hard crash into that rail. Get home free.
Aww.
Got your light last time, didn't you?
I did. It's dark without a light.
Okay, we'll stop right here. You guys are welcome to spend as much time underground as you want. If you've not been here, I encourage you to go check out the galleries, check out everything the museum has to offer while you're down here. We ask that you park your bikes over here along the wall somewhere and go right through the gallery. Keep your helmet on while you're down here, because we either have to have our helmets on or you have to have one of those ones with the hard hats they give you. If you didn't bring money down and you found something in the gift shop that you wanted, tell the people there, they can send it up, and then you can pay for it and get up to the top. The hoist will go back every 15 to 30 minutes, so if you're about done and you hear that the next group coming down, you might want to get down there. As you can see, there's several bikes here. We can only get about 10 to 12 up at a time. So if you're in a hurry, you need to get somewhere, you might want to get down there. Otherwise, please spend some time down there.
Thank you, Mike.
And thank you
Thank you.
for coming
Great
down.
tour.
Thank you very much.
It's awesome. Hopefully we'll see you guys next year.
I better follow my little.
Yeah. All right. Okay.